Hello everyone and welcome to game week 3 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, for the opening game of the day on Court B between current league leaders GBG Knights and Sale United. Apologies for the slight delay getting things up and running today, but we are live now, likewise on Court A, where Muscle Warriors, who are locked on the same number of points as GBG Knights in second, are taking on Manchester City. Been some early pressure in the opening minute and a half from GBG Knights, and they have a chance to open the scoring here via an indirect free kick to be taken by Oscar Smedley. He has Kai Shah and Reese Mallet in support. Signal from Mark Harrison, our referee, into Kai Shah, over to Reese Mallet, returns the favour to the right-hand side, out of play for a Sale United ball. So to go through the team lineups in their entirety for the designated home side GBG Knights, they have Jack Ewins, who's having a sensational season, having transferred from AFC Bournemouth Warriors in the centre. It's a fairly fluid system. It will probably be Kai Shah with wingers of Oscar Smedley and Reese Mallet on the bench, a single substitute of George Holloway. And for their challengers, Sale United, who I've been really impressed with this season, they have Jake Hudson, they have Jack Hassan, they have David D, and they have Daniel Holt, their single substitute, that of Mason Davies. So a brave approach from GBG Knights to get things going. Jack Ewins just takes that central role. Kai Shah dropping back to cover the defence. We're looking at the table, as already mentioned, GBG Knights top. It's been a pretty fantastic season so far. Of their 9 games played, they've won 8, drawn 1, are yet to see defeat. It's that goal difference that sees them be better off than their close rivals Muscle Warriors. Plus 35 across their 9 games just shows how prolific they are. Not just that, they share the responsibility up top. They're not relying on any one single player to be that attacking output. If we're looking at the top goal scorers of the division, George Holloway leads, currently on the bench. Jack Ewins on 6, Kai Shah on 6, Troy Willicombe on 6. Jack Hassan's just trying to squeeze the ball in that right-hand post. Kai Shah alert to that opportunity of the Sale United captain. He's going to try and weave his way round to the other side. It ricochets over the line. 4 minutes in, Sale United take the lead. Fantastic, persistent work from Jack Hassan, the captain of Sale United. I mentioned earlier how impressed I've been with Sale United. Their placement in the standings at present, they were in 8th before this game started. Not a true reflection of just how much they've progressed as a collective. Jack Hassan, one of the standouts of this side. Of their 8 games played in the 24-25 division, they've got, before this, they've won just 2, drawn 3, lost 3. This would see them jump up to 7th in the standings, and they're not looking to rest on their laurels here. It's a common theme within our National League. The first games of a weekend, always somewhat of a challenge. Teams travelling from far and wide. Getting yourself hyped up for the 9:30 kickoff. Sometimes easier said than done. But Sale United contradicting that statement, very much so. Just 6 minutes in, definitely the better of the two, as Reece Mallet and Jack Hassan just collide off the ball. Mark Kerrison, our referee, complemented by Pete Taylor and Caroline Goldsborough. Into Kai Shah in the centre. Should there be any updates on Court A, I will endeavour to bring you them. As you can see from that graphic, nothing to separate them as of yet. Manchester City, another side that have impressed thoroughly and continue to develop as a team. Sale United were unfortunate to be knocked out the Jonga Group WFA Cup last weekend to their sister club Manchester United. Jack Hassan can't quite get a grasp of that. Would have been an opportunity had he done so. But GBG Knights have booked their spot in the round 3 draw, which will take place this evening following the final games of the day. That will be streamed live across the WFA's YouTube and Facebook pages. The road to Derby continues. Round 3 sees 8 teams in the north be divided into 4 fixtures. Likewise with the south. And then we will see the winners of them games progress to the Derby Arena on May the 11th. Anyone that was present last year will know how great an event that was, as Sale United have been really well structured. Jack Hassan now, via this indirect free kick, has an opportunity to double the advantage of Sale United. Probably going to aim for the side of David D's chair. Indirect. Can't quite get the angle. Good defensive structure from Jack Ewins, but I don't think he observed the 5 metres. Went too early on that defensive phase. So a second successive attempt. Jack Hassan once again into the side of David D. Gets better purchase on the ball on that occasion. No real power to trouble Jack Ewins. Really vocal from David D in the centre. Very mature player for his age. Following this, Sale United have 2 further games. Villa Rockets Lions and AFC Bournemouth Warriors. Tomorrow they face Manchester City and Nottingham Forest. Anyone that's a regular viewer of the National League, or the National League Championship to be specific, will know that no fixtures, no matchups are a formality. Anyone can beat anyone. We've seen that across the season. First substitute of the game, George Holloway, current league top goal scorer, comes on in place of Reece Mallet. Should have confirmation of that change on your screens now. If you're looking at, once again, at them player stats and stand-ins, George Holloway on 12 goals. Not just that, he has 6 assists to his name. So 18 goal contributions across their now 10 games is really impressive. But even more so is Oscar Smedley in his debut season for GBG Knights. 15 assists he has, so a real creator. He has the ball now via this kick-in. Probably be looking to Kai Shah in the centre. Opts to try and squeeze it over to George Holloway for his first involvement. Jake Hudson, very experienced, just to cut out that initial danger. But thank you to all that are tuning in. As always, constantly monitoring the YouTube chat, so anyone that wants to drop in with their comments, predictions, thoughts, please do so. I'll endeavour to give you a shout out. Kai Shah swipes it over to George Holloway, slightly congested in that final third. Good cut work from David D. GBG Knights just struggling to get out of second gear so far. Still a lot of time left to be played in this fixture. As of yet, Jake Hudson has had very little to do in way of defensive goalkeeping duties. That's one thing they're so brilliant at, is how well defensively organised they are. They're probably one of my, if not my favourite team to watch in the division, just to see how much they've developed over the last 2-3 seasons. And applying further context, they saw several key players depart them in the off-season, so fairly new look inside. Jack Hassan down to David D. When I reference that defensive stability, 9 games played, factoring into this one, they've scored 5, only conceded 5. So that speaks to how effective they are as a collective defensive unit. Good work from David D. Daniel Holt constantly manoeuvring and altering his position. Good 1-2. Switch of play. Couldn't quite bypass Kai Shah, who's one of the most effective players at breaking up them transitions. GBG Knights will almost certainly have aspirations of being champions of the 24-25 Optegra Championship. Gonna have to do some work here. A few conversations in and around the Lee Westwood Sports Centre this morning spoke about how significant that matchup between first and second tomorrow will be. GBG Knights take on Muscle Warriors tomorrow, but that one's has everyone's focus. But if GBG Knights and or Muscle Warriors drop points in the games leading up to that, it won't be as significant as it is currently. But 14 fixtures today across both courts. From the looks of it, I believe Muscle Warriors have taken the lead on Court A. I'll bring that confirmation as soon as that one is locked in. But that could be really significant. 1-0. We'll see them jump up to the top position in the standings. Once it goes out of play, I'll see if I can bring them live league standings up just for your reference to show you how close it really is. Good little 1-2 between Kai Shah and George Holloway. Yet to really unlock Holloway on that wing. Likewise with Oscar Smedley. One thing about GBG Sale United, they'll typically always have 3 players in their defensive half. Said I'd bring up them standings. As you can see, Muscle Warriors would go up to first on 28 points. GBG Knights on 25, so they'll want to reverse this scoreline sooner rather than later. The longer it goes on, the more that nerves will creep in. Just over 3 minutes left of this first half. GBG Knights 0, Sale United 1. The GBG Knights on the attack. Kai Shah. Oscar Smedley comes over to take. Into Jack Ewan. Beautiful switch play to George Holloway. Lines up a shot. Well blocked by Jake Hudson. Opportunity for Daniel Holt to break, but it just clips the back of his chair and rebounds back into his own defensive half. Into Holloway. Locked up in that very congested Sale United defensive box. Just shows how close this division is in terms of its quality from top to bottom. Sale United were in 8th prior to this kicking off. GBG Knights faultless in first. But on watching this 18 or so minutes, you could be forgiven for thinking the opposite. But GBG Knights have so much quality. All the while it remains just 1-0. They'll have an opportunity to get back into this. Jack Ewan's advancing up the court. Less congested weekend for GBG Knights than that of Sale United. They play AFC Bournemouth Warriors, who are bottom of the division next. So a chance to pick up some momentum. They'll be by and far the favourites for that one. Tomorrow they play Nottingham Forest before that clash of the Titans against Muscle Warriors. So in terms of a run-in to that crucial fixture, it doesn't get much better. Oscar Smedley, final 30 seconds into the box, blocked by Jake Hudson. Kai Shah going to try and just push it over to Oscar Smedley. Has to be careful of that 2-on-1 awarded by Mark Kerrison in the end. Oscar Smedley didn't have the room to vacate that top right-hand corner, and the more that Kai Shah advanced, the less room he gave him. Final 10 seconds. GBG Knights 0, Sale United 1. Jack Hassan with a single goal after 4 or 5 minutes. Since then, GBG Knights have settled, but haven't done anything to threaten the goal of Jake Hudson. Thank you to all that are tuning in. And that will be the last action of the first half. Good half of football. As mentioned at the start, these are bogey fixtures. Nobody likes to contest the opening fixture of a weekend. You'll see teams always tend to improve as the day goes on, once they get a little bit of breakfast and energy in them. So this is a blip on the radar for GBG Knights, but I have no doubt Kai Shah is currently having a strongly worded conversation with his teammates, looking to attack Sale United in the second half. I'll be back very shortly. Hello everyone and welcome back to this fixture between GBG Knights and Sale United, currently separated by a single Jack Hassan goal for the designated away team. A great opening 20 minutes, very closely contested. Hopefully more of the same in the second. Now I have a little bit of time. Let's go through the squads very quickly, as I didn't have a chance to do so before the start of the game. GBG Knights comprised of Reece Malik, Kai Shah, Oscar Smedley, George Holloway and Jack Ewins. Player coach Kai Shah currently talking to his teammates, trying to just have some of the teammates of Muscle Warriors asking the team, but Kai Shah just trying to dissect as the issues from that first 20. Sale United, Jack Hassan, Daniel Holt, Jake Hudson, David D, Mason Davies, their coach, Jake Hudson. So let's get these graphics off the screen. Ready for the second. There has been a change amongst the ranks of GBG Knights that will bring confirmation of once we get up and running. Sale United unchanged. They're Jake Hudson, Jack Hassan, David D, Daniel Holt. GBG Knights have taken the leading assist provider of the Championship division, Oscar Smedley. Reece Malik back on. And we are back underway. Kai Shah just feints, whether or not it's intentional or not. A smirk may decide that. But straight out of play for a Sale United ball. As I said, there's confirmation of that substitute of GBG Knights. Jack Hassan trying to beat the press. You can see how brave they are in committing players forward. It's been a trademark of their game all season. The simple matter is you don't score 38 goals without being free-flowing and brave in attack. They've only conceded 3. Muscle Warriors, the only team with a better defensive record. Once again, you're joining myself, Ryan Sipple, for this one. You can see some nice, strong numbers in the YouTube, so thank you to all that are tuning in. Jack Ewins has to be careful of his placement with Kai Shah. Had it ricocheted, or had David D managed to get between the two defensive players of GBG Knights, he would have had an indirect free kick in his favour. Kai Shah into Reece Malik. David D continues to frustrate the opposition. Just to highlight Sale United's defensive solidity, no team has managed to score more than a single goal against them in the National League all season. Fairly remarkable record, which speaks to that stability and that togetherness. They're going to be tested in this second half, as we've touched on many times, the prolific attack of GBG Knights, but Jake Hudson, arguably the quietest and the least involved of the 8 players currently on the court. Kassam waits for the ball. David D to take. All the way to Kai Shah. Pick off over to Reece Mallett. Likewise over to George Holloway on the alternate wing. A nice assured pass. But as is always the case, Jack Hassan covers. And that defensive 1-2 pivot of David D and Jake Hudson shielding the goal really well. Just question or wonder whether the longer this goes on, the more GBG Knights get frustrated. I will say though, I remember commentating on their first game in game week 2 of the season where they faced Teesside Steel on this very court. Teesside Steel went 1-0 up in that one, and it took a very late penalty for GBG Knights to avoid defeat. That one scored by Jack Ewan, so they'll be looking to replicate that, but it just reiterates my point of how they don't like the opening game of the weekend. I can almost guarantee you it will be a different looking side in their second fixture against AFC Bournemouth Warriors. So Jack Ewans to take this indirect free kick off of Kai Shah, well structured by Sale United. Jack Ewans down to George Holloway. Crucial interception from David D. But this is our first bout of National League action of 2025. Crazy to think that we're in 2025 already, as David D looks to do the unthinkable and double the advantage of Sale United. Reece Mallett aware of that initial opportunity. Laser focus from Mark Kerrison, just overseeing the action. David D named the standout player of the weekend for game week 2, so he's bringing some real fantastic form into this one. GBG Knights, they had, I believe, George Holloway and Kai Shah present in that team of the weekend. But yeah, our first action of 2025, we have had several John Good Group WFA Cup fixtures, most notably where the WFA, Alex Dowding and myself travelled to Hull for Hull and East Yorkshire versus Manchester United. What a great day that was, working alongside John Good Group to have a cup showcase. It kind of hopefully shows the direction we want to take our domestic cup competition in. But it's most definitely good to be back at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre as Kai Shah looks to replicate what Jack Hassan did earlier and just try and figure out a way past the defensive wall of his opposition. Whole ball hasn't left the court. Well worked by Kai Shah just to knock it off Jake Hudson. Out for a GBG Knights corner kick. Jack Ewans to take. Kai Shah and George Holloway options in the box. Into the box, over to George Holloway. Brilliant goal. Fantastic accuracy on the initial corner kick, and George Holloway, as he has been doing so all season, there to capitalise. It's confirmation of that goal on your screens. GBG Knights 1, Sale United 1, and they'll be looking to build on that now. Whatever Kai Shah said, at the half-time break has obviously had an impact. George Holloway now on 13 goals across the season. His closest competitor in those standings, Jacob Vickers of Muscle Warriors, as Sale United make their first change of the game. Mason Davies playing in only his second National League weekend comes on. Daniel Holt, the player, being replaced. Something we love to see. Players coming up, testing their ability in the National League. I believe Mason Davis has only ever played one game at National League level in game week 2, so this will be a real test. I've no doubt he has the potential and the ceiling to acclimatise quickly. David D into Jack Hassan. Seeing Sale United be a little bit braver now in trying to get their attack going. They had 3 players in the defensive half of GBG Knights during that phase of play, which is fairly unfamiliar for the way they approach games. Jack Ewins looks to George Holloway, across the box, frustratingly out of play. But even if he was able to make contact, there was a very well-structured wall of Sale United comprised of Jack Hassan and Jake Hudson. Two on one in favour of Sale United. David E takes down to Mason Davis for his first touch. Interception by Jack Ewins. I hadn't said so already, Muscle Warriors 2-0 up against Manchester City, as here David D receives a yellow card. Not quite sure why. Either way, Mark Harrison does look to his book. Next up, on Court B, I'll be calling the action between West Bromwich Albion Dudley and Teesside Still. I'll actually be on Court B all day, so anyone that wants to tune in, it'll be very much appreciated. Apologies that there is no commentary currently on Court A. Had a few shifts and change and late pullouts, but we will have commentary from 11:50 onwards on that court. Jake Hudson, can they see out the final 7 minutes and secure what I'm sure they'd be delighted with is in a single point? Certainly if he was to offer that prior to the game kicking off. Jack Ewins, 1-2 with Kai Sharp trying to find George Holloway. Didn't quite have the power, so Jake Hudson was able to come over and intercept. But you're seeing them passing patterns from GBG Knights. That is the reason they are right in that mix for the league title. I'll bring the full league table up at the conclusion of the game, but as it currently stands, this would still favour Muscle Warriors, who are currently on 28 points. GBG Knights on 26. Jack Ewins quickly taken down to Kai Shah. Jake Hudson breaking it up. Ricochet brings Reese Mallet into the action. Been very isolated, had little to no involvement since his reintroduction to the play. Certainly what I've seen of Jake Hudson, this is some of the best football I've seen him play at National League level. The designated player coach, just so calm under pressure, but watches that ball like a hawk. There's a lot of unsung heroes and players that don't necessarily get their share of the spotlight, as is the case with every form of football. The headlines and the praise tends to be leaked on the laps of the goal scorers and the providers, but it's the players in defence that really ensure that they stay in it. Curse of the commentator. Brilliant passing football from GBG Knights. Sees them take the lead the first time this game. George Holloway, the provider on this occasion, so another goal and assist to his name. Kai Shah, the player, seeing it over the line. Disappointing for Sale United, but that just shows how resilient GBG Knights are and how they have so much belief in their ability. And they will trouble any and all opposition. That does, of course, put them back top of the table on the same number of points as Muscle Warriors. So, obviously, talking from the mutual perspective, if both of them can secure maximum points in the lead up to that crucial second fixture tomorrow, that will have a big contributing factor to the season's overall outcome. Can Sale United find a way back into this? Have to commend the defensive structure of GBG Knights in this one. Certainly in the second half, nothing that Jake Hudson's side have managed to do has seemed to really break into that final third, let alone test Jack Ewins in the GBG Knights goal. Final couple of minutes, GBG Knights 2, Sale United 1. I referenced their opening fixture of game week 2 against Teesside Steel, how they managed to secure points when it looked almost certain that they wouldn't. They've bettered it in this one, coming from a goal down to a goal up. And if they see out this final minute, they will continue their purple patch, which has seen them go unbeaten across the 3 weekends played. But to be pushed for a player of the match, difficult. A tale of two halves as Jack Ewins now trying to force that ball over. Been really impressed with Sale United. But George Holloway, I think, made the difference. A goal and an assist since his introduction is going to prove the difference, it looks like. There's Reece Mallet now, brave in attack. Can Sale United break? They're doing so via Jake Hudson. Kai Shah is going to be called into defensive duties in the final 5 seconds or so. Kept in by David D and well left by George Holloway, but not before. 2-on-1 awarded in the favour of the league leaders. Full time on Court A. Muscle Warriors 3. Manchester City 0. Now into any additional time that Mark Kerrison has accrued across this second 20-minute phase. Kai Shah happy for that to just be locked up in this final third. Ricochet from George Holloway inside that right-hand post. Don't think it's going to count, though. Not 100% sure as to why. But unfortunately for George Holloway, it was a beautiful finish. But I don't believe he was observing the 5 metres needed for play to resume. He does the same on the second time, but doesn't have the accuracy to threaten the goal and or find Reece Mallet, and that will be the final action of the first game. Congratulations, GBG Knights. They came from a goal down to secure 3 very valuable points in their pursuit of the league title. I said I'd bring up the live league standings, and as you can see on your screens, GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors share an almost identical record. It's only the goal difference that sees them alter slightly. 10 games played, 9 games won, 1 game drawn, both unbeaten. Someone's O has got to go tomorrow. I wonder who it will be. But thank you to all that have tuned in for this one. I will be back very shortly for the second game on Court B. West Bromwich Albion Dudley against Teesside Steel.